What animals actually appear in the end of Oak Street? The movie may look like a dinosaur survival story, but its creatures are much more interesting than just the usual T-Rex. So, let's break down every major animal seen in the movie and explain what makes each one so terrifying. First, we have the Allosaurus. This massive predator becomes one of the movie's most dangerous creatures. Unlike the T-Rex, the Allosaurus lived during the late Jurassic period, millions of years before humans ever existed. In the movie, it is responsible for one of the most shocking attacks, proving that even a suburban neighborhood can become a hunting ground when prehistoric life suddenly appears. And surprisingly, there is no T-Rex. Instead, the filmmakers use other giant predators to fill that role. One of them is the Spinosaurus. Recognizable by its enormous sail-like structure along its back, Spinosaurus was one of the largest known predatory dinosaurs. It was also adapted to life around water, making it very different from predators like Allosaurus. The movie also shows smaller feathered theropod-like dinosaurs. These creatures are much smaller than the giant predators, but that doesn't make them harmless. In fact, their presence helps make the prehistoric world feel much more alive. Then there are the ankylosaurs. These heavily armored herbivores were basically living tanks. Their bodies were covered with protective armor, and many ankylosaurs had powerful tail clubs. They weren't hunters, but getting too close to one would definitely be a bad idea. The movie also introduces pterosaurs, and technically, they're not dinosaurs. They're flying reptiles that lived alongside dinosaurs millions of years ago. In the movie, they become terrifying aerial predators, attacking from above and turning the sky itself into a danger zone. But perhaps the strangest creature is the giant prehistoric snake. The movie features a massive snake resembling Titanoboa, one of the largest snakes ever known. Titanoboa lived roughly 60 million years ago and could grow to enormous lengths. Seeing something like that crawling through a modern neighborhood is one of the movie's most disturbing images. Then we have giant crocodile-like prehistoric reptiles. These creatures bring another kind of danger because, unlike a giant dinosaur chasing you across the street, a crocodilian-style predator can remain hidden near water before suddenly attacking. There are also huge prehistoric turtle-like animals in the film's creature-filled world. They may not be the biggest threat to the characters, but their appearance reinforces the idea that an entire prehistoric ecosystem has somehow invaded the modern world. And then there's one animal that isn't prehistoric at all: Starbuck, the family dog. Starbuck becomes surprisingly important to the story, and his fate was actually something the filmmakers discussed during development. But thankfully, the dog survives. And that's important because the movie isn't only about humans trying to survive against prehistoric creatures. It's also about how ordinary life changes when something completely impossible suddenly becomes real. So, from Allosaurus and Spinosaurus to pterosaurs, ankylosaurs, giant snakes, crocodilian creatures, and enormous turtles, the end of Oak Street creates a bizarre prehistoric ecosystem right in the middle of suburbia. And the most interesting part? The movie doesn't simply ask, what if dinosaurs came back? It asks something much bigger. What if an entire lost world came back with them? And that's what makes the creatures of the end of Oak Street so terrifying. Because when you realize that every creature has its own hunting strategy, its own environment, and its own way of surviving, the neighborhood doesn't look like home anymore. It looks like prehistoric food chain has returned.